I'm Lynda Hafner, top producing realtor at ERA Key Realty in Central Massachusetts. Today, I want to share with you 3 secret truths involved with the buying and selling process, especially here in Central Mass, but it will apply to anywhere. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you haven't had a chance to catch some of my other videos, please take a moment and skip through and see some of my topics. I try to cover a wide variety of topics about buying and selling, particularly in Central Mass, that's where I am, but a lot of my videos will apply to much of the US, and you'll find very helpful information that will guide you to make the best decisions for yourself. So if you like the content, if you would please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. So today, I'm gonna talk to you about 3 secrets that when you're going in starting the process of buying or selling a home, you really may not have this on the forefront of your brain, and that's why I say it's secret, because it's not always talked about. But I want to inform you, because having the information in advance is 100% gonna help make the process smoother. That's the whole benefit of having a realtor, is that the realtor makes it easier and less stressful for you. So the first, I'm gonna go in a descending order. In other words, I'm saving the number 1 reason, which I think a lot of people completely underestimate, for last. So hang in there. This isn't gonna be that long, but check out the number 1 reason then. The number 3rd reason, I think, is one of the secrets, is that it definitely costs more money than you think. And I'm not talking about the down payment, I'm not talking about closing costs, although yeah, generally speaking, those cost more than you think too, but that isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the little things like moving costs and costs that are involved if your closing date gets changed. That is a big one. Closing dates frequently change. I would say, I don't know, probably 40% of the time. Everyone rushes and rushes to try to get that closing on time, and then one little step in the process doesn't go right. One person doesn't do one thing and your closing is delayed. What does that mean? That means the movers need to be rescheduled. And depending on how you originally booked the movers, they may have a fee involved in changing the date. So these are all things you want to know before you begin the process, so that when you interview movers, let's talk about what are their reschedule fees. These are things that can help save you money if you know about them before you begin. So that is my goal for you, is to kind of point these out. Other costs that you probably don't anticipate would involve just a bunch of little things adding up. Things like curtains, blinds, when you move to your new property. Sometimes you need to buy furniture. Sometimes you need to get rid of furniture if you're selling and downsizing. All these little expenses before you start this journey of moving and selling and buying, you want to give yourself a plan and estimate some of these costs. And then on the side of buying, one of the problems with buying that a lot of people don't anticipate, they think, oh, I make all this money and I can easily buy a home. But one thing that buyers don't take into consideration is that the way a lender evaluates your ability to buy a home and your ability in your own mind to afford a home is completely different. And I say this because a lot of buyers do come to me and they think they can afford it, they think they're ready to go, but if they don't have enough reserves in the bank set aside, and as it's a reserve fund. Basically, if you don't have the money to pay your mortgage 1 month, the bank wants to see untouched funds in your account that you will be able to cover your mortgage payment. You know, things like that. If you don't have enough in the bank showing them, they won't give you a loan. If you don't have enough time at your current employment, if you just change jobs, there's a lot of reasons why lenders will not necessarily loan you the money. And so these are all things that you want to, you know, make sure you know up front and investigate before you start that process. So the second secret truth to know about the buying and selling a home process is that it is not convenient for your life. If you're a home seller, it is very inconvenient because you basically need to get your home in a real, like, magazine type look. You got to get rid of a lot of clutter. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get your home on the market. Then it's a lot of work for showings, to the showings or the open houses or whatever that is. You have to leave the house. You have to take all your pets with you. It's not convenient. It is going to interfere with your life and with your schedules. And it's very inconvenient. And I think a lot of people don't anticipate just how inconvenient it is. You know, they don't anticipate what they're going to do with their pets for showings, things like that. And for buyers, it's also inconvenient because, especially right now, we are in August of 2021, and if you want to potentially buy a home, you can't say, oh yeah, I'll schedule an appointment for, a week from now, and that's when I'm available. That isn't going to work because the home's going to be gone, possibly before then. Things are slowing down a little than they were back in April and May, when literally you had a day or two to go see the house, and if you didn't see it, it was gone. So I think things are slowing down a little now. I'm seeing like a week or two with certain houses. It depends on the price point. The higher the price point, the longer it can sometimes sit on the market. But again, it varies greatly. Varies depending on the house. And you may not have the convenience of going when it's the best time for you. You just have to go if you want a house. I mean, unfortunately, I think buying a house today is really somewhat becoming more of a luxury than it is just a normal dream of standard life. It seems to be the trend because there's so many people and not enough homes, and that's what I'm seeing. But anyway, just understand that there are going to be many inconveniences. And then when you do get an offer accepted, then you've got the home inspection. And guess what? Most home inspectors do not have appointments that work with your work schedule. So yes, you may have to take a few hours off in order to go to a home inspection. These are all the things that you want to know and anticipate in advance. If you have an experienced realtor, this is what hopefully they will be telling you, and you'll know this information. But in case they haven't, these videos are good for you to watch so you have an idea and you can anticipate before it happens. One more inconvenience that I want to talk about, this is directed towards buyers, is that closing day. Closing day is one of those inconveniences because you want to plan, you want to take the time off of work. I can't tell you how many times this has been an issue. It's a good majority of the time that this becomes an issue with buyers who are looking to close. They want to take time off in advance. They want to tell their boss. They want to give notice. And that's all well and good, and they can go ahead and do that. However, closing dates change a lot. It's like closing date is more like a target date. You hope you close on that date, but I would say, 40% of homes don't close on that date. on the actual closing date because one issue comes up or another. So that's a major inconvenience. It costs more money. It's a problem with work. It's a huge inconvenience. So these are another thing that you want to anticipate. And another thing that I found inconvenient when I bought my home is I didn't know the funds I needed to bring to closing until literally hours before. And that's like, you can't go to the bank, you can't get a check, you can't get a bank check because it needs to be a bank check, and you can't do any of that until you have the final amount. And the final amount tends to be a very last minute thing, which is very, very annoying because somebody who's a planner like me, I want to know a couple days in advance, I want to get everything ready. And you know, people who have my personality that like everything planned out and organized, this is just not going to be always the case. It's inconvenient, and then that's going to lead us to our number one secret truth about buying and selling a home. That's next. So the number one secret truth involved in buying and selling a home is that it is way more emotionally draining than anyone anticipates at the beginning of this process. Now, I say that knowing that in the end, it's always all worth it. And I literally ask my clients this because when we're in the thick of it, you know, I guide them through the process. And that's what your realtor is there for. Your realtor will help alleviate as much fear, stress, and emotional involvement as possible. That is, in my opinion, a huge part of my job. But at the same time, we also keep buyers and sellers informed of what is going on. And because this is a huge amount of money on your part, and it's set to specific dates, closing dates, purchase and sale dates, all kinds of dates, there are lots of, stresses involved. There is changes, there are negotiations that happen along the way that are definitely very emotionally draining. And it's a lot of work to get a loan. It is a lot of paperwork that you have to give to a loan officer if you want to buy a house. The paperwork is just overwhelming, and by the time you're ready to buy your house, you're completely sick of it. And if you're on the selling side, you're sick of hearing that the buyer is having trouble getting the paperwork done. So it's like, it doesn't get easier whether you're the buyer or the seller. Either way, it's hard. So some of this stress is avoidable. Some of the stress is unavoidable. It just seems like in any home sale, home purchase, no matter what it is, there are unexpected things that happen on either side. And these unexpected things involve spending more money or, changing your schedule, and they cause a lot of stress. They are very, very emotionally uncentering. Most people, by the time closing comes, are absolutely exhausted. So just understand that. Figure out where you are in your life. I mean, if you have someone close to you who's going through cancer or who's sick, this may not be the time to go through this. Look at your life. If you just started a new job, is that the time to consider, selling your home? These are things you want to anticipate. You want to know that this is going to be stressful no matter what. It is a big, big change. And there are a lot of things that tend to go wrong that seem like a big deal at the time, but it all ends up being a wash in the end, and it works out. Things always have a way of working out. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes deals fall through, and it can happen. It can happen, but it doesn't happen often. So just use all of this information to educate yourself and make yourself aware so that you can try to make this as easy of a process as possible. I hope you enjoyed this information. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you at the next video.